We're going to call the meeting, the Higher Education Appropriations Subcommittee to order. First of all, I want to welcome everyone here and say a special thank you to our higher education partners, both our USG and our technical college system and others. It's as we continue to hopefully come through and make our way out of this pandemic, hopefully things are going to be easier and better going forward. I know you've had everyone, but especially our higher education institutions have had a pretty difficult time, as well as the rest of us, adjusting to what has been going on in regards to COVID and just all the problems that are associated with the pandemic. So first of all, I thank you for what all you have done in your respective institutions, and we're gonna make it out of this. And hopefully there's a ray of sunshine ahead, and I think we've got some good things in the budget. So with that, I'm going to. We've got an agenda here. We're going to rearrange it a little bit, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Dozier, will you start off with the technical college system, and then a lot of the things with the USG and the B budgets will piggyback off each other, so I'll let you go ahead and do it first, present first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I know Chancellor McCartney and myself appreciate those comments about higher ed and the struggles and the great work our presidents and our faculty have done during this time to really carry us through and make sure our workforce is where it needs to be. I apologize, I don't know what page it's on, so I'll wait and see if you get there, but I do have the right sheet with the numbers here that I can go through with you. Page 8 of 9, okay.
Page 8 of 9.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, are you ready for me to go through that? Okay. I'll go fairly quickly. We have one item, and that's the governor's recommendation for the $5,000 pay increase for full-time benefit-eligible state employees. When you look at this, that item is found on 46.1.1 under adult education, 46.2.1 under departmental administration, 46.3.1 under economic development and customized services, 46.5.1 under quick start, and 46.6.1 under technical education. When you add all of those items up, obviously the largest item is under our technical education line item, but when you add all those up, it is a total of, and there it is, $19,068,567. Just to give you an idea how many positions we have that are benefit eligible, we have right at 10,350 total positions, of which right at 5,900 are full-time benefit eligible positions. The rest are part-time or instructional type positions that work out throughout the college. When you look down, the next item on here is all the way down under technical education, and that's where we'll spend the remaining amount of our time. The first item below the pay raise is 46.6.2, and that's to provide $1.5 million to implement the dual achievement program. That's Senate Bill 204, which was passed last session. Just a reminder, that's to implement a pilot. The legislation does not give us authority to implement beyond a pilot, a high school diploma program in the technical college system. It gives us the opportunity to have 5 pilots. Those will be at Chattahoochee Tech, Central Tech, Gwinnett Tech, Albany Tech, and Athens Tech. We plan on having a fall start for that high school program, and just to give you an idea of what requires to go into that is someone who is 16 years of age or older, somebody who has finished 6 of the 9 core classes in high school, so they can come to us and take those other core classes, but that means we have to be prepared to teach all 9 of them because there's not a requirement of which 6, so we're actually making sure we're prepared to do that. We'll be teaching 50 students in each of those pilots, is our intention as we roll that out. You'll see that again in the big budget, but for the small budget, it's $1.5 million. Item 46.6.3 and below are items that have in the past been bond funded and are actually cash funded in this budget. So a lot of these you saw last year because they're the bond projects that for 2 years you funded the first year. 2 sessions ago you funded the planning and design money, and the governor signed that into law. Last year the construction money was signed, and then this year the FF&E, the furniture, fixture, and equipment, is being funded, like I said, in the cash side of the budget this year. The first item is the Aviation Training Academy at Chattahoochee Tech. Just a reminder, that project was $26.8 million, and the FF&E is $5.8 million, which is being requested here today, which will finalize that project. The next project on 46.6.4 is the Industrial Systems Technology Building in Athens, and that's on the campus there in Athens. That facility last year, you guys, I thank you for $13 million for construction, and that's really for our AC technology program and several other things related to refrigeration and refrigeration mechanical work. We're really seeing an uptick in that program, and it's going to be very helpful. The FF&E for that project is $2.44 million. The next item is 46.6.5, and it's the Transportation and Logistic Program at Atlanta Tech for $520,000. The next item is 46.6.6, and that's the equipment for the culinary program at Savannah Tech. I know many of y'all have over the years been able to taste some of their treats up here. Prior to COVID, I missed out on that because I came when COVID came, but my understanding is Savannah's culinary program has actually dropped off some sweets up here at the Capitol many, many years. A very, very impressive program. We're excited to have a facility on Bay Street where the patrons in Savannah, as they're going up and down Bay Street, can actually see what our work is. Our students can actually not only learn how to provide the culinary arts, but they can also serve it. So we're going to actually have an operational facility that's a teaching facility. The FF&E there is $720,000. The last item on our budget for the supplemental budget is 46.6.7, and that's to fund and replace our obsolete equipment. Typically, we've gotten $10 million. That's been kind of a standard over the years. As I spoke in the joint committee, just a reminder, we have $341 million worth of valued equipment, and on our books, 82% of that equipment is fully depreciated. So this $10 million really is something needed to make sure that we replace our obsolete training equipment in our labs, and that's where this funding goes. Mr. Chairman, that's the items in the budget recommendation for the supplemental budget, and I'd obviously be happy to answer any questions you or the committee may have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Real quick, and again, I want to appreciate the help of the technical college system. I know we have an initiative that personally I know the committee and especially myself have been very interested in. It seems like aviation is a very cool thing to do this year, and it is a very important issue to Georgia because it's one of our largest industries, and I know we've got a lot of industry demand, especially with an aging demographic, and really appreciate what the technical college system is doing to help be a part of that solution. And I know we're working together. I want to let the committee know we've been working with both the technical college system and USG, really focusing in on this industry, and I appreciate the help of what you've done from the technical college system. So we've got some new assets coming online, and
yes,
I know we're talking, but I want to let the committee know we've worked hard over the interim on this issue, and how much I appreciate not only the committee but our partners in education and also industry. And if there's anybody from the aviation industry listening, appreciate your not only your participation as we went through and looked at the demographics and the needs of industry, but I'm going to ask you for your continued commitment and partnership with this initiative, because we are doing this for you. good jobs await those who want to take up these careers and these degrees. But we're going to need also our corporate partners out there to help make sure that the public knows that there's great opportunity here. So again, I want to thank you for what you've done here, and I know you're getting some more information as we look into this program. Yes,
sir. We're very close to the information you've asked for, so you should get it shortly. And I want to thank you and the committee. Mentioned in the joint meeting, but several of you have, Chairman obviously, but several of you also have joined him touring our facilities, and I can't say enough about how that just increases the support across the system when our instructors out there know the need and appreciation by those across the state. Just a reminder, one other thing we're really proud of, and this committee's asked me about in the past, is one of those things that's kind of a scab on a Band-Aid, but we are proud. We're able to say that we actually have reopened the Atlanta program, and it's on the structural side, and we plan on when this group of students get through the structural planning, we believe FAA will have given us approval for the power plant side. So that's something this committee and yourself has asked about several times, and it's taken a while to get there, but we're extremely proud, and I have to say Dr. Sills and the team over there has done a great job working toward that goal. So thank you again.
I appreciate it. All right. Members of the committee, any questions? Commissioner? Come on, now's your time. Chairman Jaspers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just real quick, Commissioner, on the increasing funds for transportation logistics at Atlanta Tech, how many that program is going to be started in what, this fall? Or is it underway? Or
well, we're starting the construction right now, so it'll take a little more time to get there after fall to get it going.
Okay, so we're under construction of that site there now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so this is the equipment for that.
Yes, sir.
And how many students will that be able to?
I apologize, I don't have it with me, but I'll get that for you. That's one of the things I just don't have in this big old notebook that they provided.
That's just something, of course, that
yes,
I would be concerned about. And I just want to echo Chairman Knight on the aviation, and that is really good news to hear that they have gotten their FAA certification. That's really good to hear.
Yeah, the team there worked extremely hard. I mean, once something like that happens, it's very difficult to get it back, and I'm very proud of the current team there for working hard and getting there. So thank you again for that support. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Commissioner. We
Thank
appreciate
you,
what you do and what your folks at the Technical College System of Georgia do.
Thank you, sir.
Our next presenter, we're going to start. Where's the Chancellor? Chancellor? Chancellor, again, we appreciate, again, I can't echo or repeat it enough what our higher education partners have done over the years, and we certainly appreciate it. I hope there's some good news in this budget as you go over it. We look forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely. And before I start, given how you ended with the Technical College System Commissioner, one thing I didn't mention last week in the Joint Appropriations is the visit that we had with a number of legislators to our Eastman campus for aviation. And again, to be able to get you as leaders on our campuses and understand the programs and especially the workforce needs around aviation, we thought was very helpful that night. So I just wanted to thank all of you. I'm going to admit I'm going to be rather short today and allow Tracy Cook an opportunity to walk through the budget. Obviously, I was a little long-winded last week, and I had to cut her off on being able to go everything. And so I want to give her a chance to be able to walk through it. Obviously, I'm going to stand up here and when she's done to be able to answer any questions that you guys may have. So I'm going to turn it over to Tracy Cook.
Thanks, Teresa. Good afternoon, Chairman Knight. Good afternoon, committee members.
Good afternoon.
Today we're going to talk about the amended 22 budget. The recommendations are located on section 41, pages 1 through 4 of the tracking sheet. So I'll start with the first item, which is the $5,000 pay increase for state-funded employees. I want to point out that each program, we have 19 programs listed. There's a line item in each program. So what I'll try to do is capture them in one instead of going through them one by one. So the total increase for the $5,000 pay increase to the state-funded employees is $196,000.7 across all 19 programs. The USG is committed to providing this same increase to all benefited employees. As you know, we have a number of employees that are on other sources of funding outside of state funds. Our best estimate today is that this cost will be about $72 million, but we are committed to working with our institutions to finding those resources in order to provide the pay increase to all USG employees. Again, I do want to thank the governor for this recommendation. I think this is going to go a long way in helping the USG and really the state of Georgia retain talent in the state. So if I can move on to the next item, which is 41.1.2. This is a recommendation of $1.5 million for the Integrated Precision Agriculture Initiative at UGA's Agriculture Experiment Station. There are representatives that will be, I think, here via virtually today to talk more about it. So in the interest of time, I'll let them share all the good news and what that initiative is about. Moving on to 41.8.2. This is a recommendation to remove $941,000 from the Cybersecurity Center related to the creation of a rural coding program. These funds were put in last fiscal year, actually this current fiscal year 22. However, due to staffing constraints, they were unable to get this initiative started this year. So we thought the best was to have the funds removed next year, let us do the proper planning, and kind of do a reset in fiscal year 23. Moving on to 41.9.2, which is on page 2. This is the Georgia Research Alliance, and they were provided $5 million for equipment and research development infrastructure. This item was originally requested as a part of our fiscal year 23 capital budget. Susan Childs, who is the president of GRA, is here today and will speak a little bit more about this item. Moving on to 41.14.2, this is another capital request that was able to be funded in the amended budget. It's $2 million for technology grants to support the Georgia Public Library Service. And again, our state librarian is here, Julie Walker, and she's also going to be able to talk about this in more detail. Moving to 41.17.2, this is at the top of page 3. This item provides $2 million in one-time funding for the Skidaway Institute of Oceanography for the refit of the research vessel Savannah, the RV Savannah. This vessel supports research and it's used by the faculty and students at UGA as well as several other institutions. And again, we're going to have representatives here from the Skidaway Institute that will discuss this project in more detail as well. And so we'll now move to the teaching program, which is section 41.18 of your tracking sheet. There's several items here to be discussed. Most of the additions in this program are facility and equipment expenses. So I'll try to talk about them as a group. So the governor recommended $1.2 million. This is 41.18.3. I'll start with that one. It's a $1.2 million recommendation to support the state funds matching requirement for Fort Valley State University's federal land grant allocation. As a part of the 1890 land grant system, Fort Valley annually receives funding from the federal government to support agricultural research and extension work. The primary goal of the research is to empower small-scale producers in the state and southeastern U.S. with knowledge and skills required to run successful agricultural enterprises. And so this federal funding has been increasing significantly over the last 2 years. They are up to $7.4 million in federal funding for fiscal year 22. And the annual allocations are contingent upon the state providing a dollar-for-dollar match. And those additional funds, the $1.2 million, will allow Fort Valley to meet its match requirement. So the capital items that I'm talking about are actually listed in 4118.2, .4, .6 through .11. So there are 8 projects there. These are all capital related and are being constructed. So the actual construction took place with GO bond funding. These are the equipment portion for these large cap projects. So just a quick recap, For large capital projects, the Board of Regents generally requests these over a 3-year period. We first start with the design, move to construction, and so this is that third phase of equipment. This request, again, was actually in our fiscal year 23 capital request, but is being recommended by the governor as cash in the amended budget. Some of the projects, just as an example, are the Bandy Gym at Dalton, the Jack and Ruth Ann Convention Center at Georgia Southern, and the Nursing and Health Science Simulation Lab at Albany State University. Those 8 projects total $20.5 million. And moving on to 41.18.5. This is an item also included in the teaching program. This is $6.3 million in equipment funds for the university, for Augusta University. These adds will support 2 linear accelerators, which will replace the existing ones at the Augusta University Cancer Center. That's $5 million, and then also provide funding of $1.3 to equip the 4th floor of the expanded College of Science and Math building. And finally, in sections 41.21 through 24, these are 3 agencies that are attached to the Board of Regents for administrative purposes. The additions there combined represent $4.4 million. The 3 agencies are the Georgia Military College, Georgia Public Telecommunications Commission, and the Georgia Commission for the Holocaust. The budget increases do provide pay increases for employees in these agencies, and we do know that there are representatives here from the Georgia Military College that would also present more on their budget. So again, all told, the recommendations for the university system total $233 million, and that concludes my formal comments. So I'll turn it back over for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I love numbers. I don't have any questions, but the members may. No, members, any questions in regards to budget and projects here? I do, again, I want to go back to the teaching portion. Again, I want to reiterate to the committee, you know, there are 2 new items here, but the remaining were, you know, capital items that were scheduled to come up. We're going to go ahead and fund these in cash. But can you go ahead, Augusta University, the accelerators, these are, again, explain to the committee what these are. I want a little more detail there.
I can. I'm going to refer to my notes, though, here. Give me a second.
And we may have somebody from Augusta University here. I know I saw them earlier.
I didn't bring my sheet, and I've talked about these before, but I don't think we have anyone here from Augusta. If it would be helpful, though, I can send the information if that's helpful.
It's all right.
But they are going to replace existing. I think they're 20-plus years old. They were just talking about, and these would be very useful in the cancer center.
This is the use in their cancer center.
In the cancer center,
okay.
That's correct.
All right. Hey, Ashley, tell her don't worry about it. I thought I had saw them earlier. Okay. And that's it. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So next we're going to, again, Dean Place. I think he's on virtual. He's going to connect with us virtually, but he's going to talk a little bit more about the college, and he's obviously from the College of Ag and Environmental Science, but going back to those items that we added, to give him an opportunity to expand on some of the issues that we're seeing and some of the programs that they're doing in integrated precision agriculture.
All right. Good afternoon, Chairman Knight. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
All right, great. So I appreciate this chance to be with you here this afternoon. So good afternoon, committee members. Also joining me is Dr. Alan Moore, who is our Associate Dean for Research in the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. So specifically, we've been asked to talk about line 41.1.2, which is funds for infrastructure and seed grants to support integrative precision agriculture here at the University of Georgia. The amount is $1.15 million. Just a little bit on integrated precision agriculture, and this is an effort that we've really been pushing, I would say, very hard over the last year and a half, particularly since I've been here a year now at UGA. We see this as a tremendous opportunity for bringing greater levels of technology and innovation to agriculture, which is our #1 industry in the state. And as all of you are well aware, there's a major push to see that our state of Georgia is recognized as a leader in innovation and technology. So what a really good opportunity to bring those together in a way that we can help our agricultural producers and farmers be most effective and efficient and profitable. So again, that's an effort that we are very passionate about. We're working quite a bit with the university leadership in that we'll be launching a new Institute for Integrative Precision Agriculture, hopefully in the next few months, which will be an intentional effort to work across colleges here at the University of Georgia, as well as institutions around the state, and also to work with industry. We've identified 2 interim co-directors. Dr. Moore is one, and Dr. Jaime Camilla, who is the Associate Dean in the College of Engineering, is the other interim co-director to get this institute up and running. So that's a little bit about the integrated precision agriculture efforts that are underway. Now with this line of funding of the $1.15 million, how that is broken out in the budget, $500,000 of that would go towards infrastructure needs that we have in relation to upgrading labs and facilities that would support precision agriculture. $350,000 of that would go towards equipment, which would be equipment such as sensors and robotics and other technology that would be closely related to the needs that we have related to precision agriculture. There's $250,000 that has been designated for seed grants. And the purpose of seed grants is to put this out in a competitive process such that teams of interdisciplinary faculty would apply for these funds to do introductory beginning research that then could be turned around to go after some higher level federal grants, such as from U.S. Department of Agriculture or the Science Foundation and those kind of things. So it's a way to kind of jumpstart some of the research efforts that we have with precision agriculture. And then the last component, the $50,000 of that amount, would be to host an international conference related to integrated precision agriculture. So our idea is once the Institute is up and running, we're building some traction around that. We want to highlight the things that we're doing here in Georgia for the industry in partnership with you all, and trying to bring greater visibility to what we do with precision agriculture. So those are the main pieces. Dr. Moore, is there anything that you would add in addition to that?
I guess I would make 2 points simple. One, we're not asking for more to do more of the same, but rather that we might move into a new direction. And rather than doing individual departmental based research, but rather bringing things together in a more integrative fashion. And secondly, this is explicitly tied to industry, so that we're having conversations. The Institute is explicit in having conversations with industry, so that there's a two-way dialogue going on to make sure we're meeting the needs of industry and industry is being heard. And at the same time, industry is aware of what it is that we're doing, so that we see this as in partnership with industry, not just unique to the university. So
Chairman Knight, we'll stop there. But
yeah, that is good. And one of the reasons I wanted to focus on this, I want to say one, thank you. One, we as Georgia grows, we see a lot of industries coming in here, but we're always reminded the agricultural industry in Georgia is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, industry, and it's what feeds not only our state but the nation and the world. Quite frankly, I appreciate what y'all are doing. I wanted to give you a little bit to explain and highlight how technical agriculture is, and what is being done to make sure that you know, what we're doing is more efficient, more cost effective as we produce more food for the world. And I certainly appreciate it, what you're doing, and certainly with the University of Georgia Griffin campus, and I know, you know, with Tifton out there, and certainly up under the experiment station, this is very meaningful to Georgia farmers, and I appreciate it. And I also want to make sure that everyone understands the research that comes out of this is worldwide. Georgia, the University of Georgia, continues to lead the nation in agriculture, and a lot of its research. And if you really dive down into it, we've been a leader, and we will continue to lead. And I appreciate you putting that focus of the world, the international conference, bringing them back to letting know that Georgia is integral. University of Georgia is integral in what we do as we go forward in agriculture. So I want to say thank you for what you do.
Thank you for those comments. Greatly appreciate it.
Any questions? Thank you, gentlemen. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the update.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Have a good afternoon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. The next, Georgia Research Alliance. Who is going to come on and join us? Welcome. I know I've been hard to run down. Y'all have been trying to get in touch with me. I appreciate you coming in and presenting and telling us a little bit more about what the Research Alliance does. Thank you.
Great. And we have some handouts that we'd like to distribute, if we could, please. And for the committee's benefit, we are talking about item 41.9. And there are 2 items underneath that. So good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you for letting me come today and talk about the Research Alliance and our ongoing partnership with you to grow Georgia's economy. GRA is a nonprofit. We have been around since 1990, and I want to thank you for 30 consecutive years of financial support of our programs. So this handout, it's really just some pictures they explain themselves and something you can take home. But I want to take 2 minutes to briefly describe how we work at GRA, what our key metrics look like, and then spend some time showing you how we plan to spend that $5 million recommended by the governor in the amended budget. So on page 2 of my handout, you see the 3 things that GRA does. First, we recruit star talent to the universities. We call them eminent scholars, and they are very skilled when it comes to competing for big research grants and contracts. In 2020, GRA's 70-plus eminent scholars generated $688 million in research activity, and that is 100% from non-state sources. We invest in specialized lab equipment that makes it possible for those scholars and other university faculty to perform this cutting-edge research. The big federal grants and contracts pay for people, they pay for materials and supplies, they rarely pay for equipment that's essential for doing the work, and that's where GRA comes in. And the third thing we do is to start new companies around university discoveries. GRA only invests in companies that are growing right here in Georgia. Today, 200 active companies are in our portfolio, and collectively they have raised $1.7 billion in venture capital. At the bottom of the page, last year the total ROI on your investment in GRA was over $1 billion, which can be attributed to the revenues and private capital raised by our startups, as well as the research activity of our eminent scholars. And at the very bottom of the page is a list of GRA's 8 member institutions. 4 are public, 4 are private. On page 3, you can see that the majority of Georgia taxpayer dollars do support GRA investments at the 4 USG institutions. 83% of GRA's total state funding has been invested at USG institutions. 61 of our 76 endowed chairs are at USG institutions, and 75% of our venture development funding supports projects at USG colleges and universities, not just at the 4 GRA member institutions, because our ventures program will work with faculty startups at any college or university in Georgia. Going to page 4, you might ask how we selected our state member universities. Well, the short answer is that together they account for almost all of the R&D activity that occurs in Georgia, so it makes sense that this is where the state wants to concentrate its investment in research and where you're going to look for significant economic outcomes. Page 5 recaps our state budget in fiscal year 22, as well as the governor's recent recommendations for GRA in the F22 amended and FY23. Our current budget totals $11.1 million, with $6.1 in cash and $5 million in taxable GO bonds. The $6.1 cash includes an increase this year to support some new program activities, which I can address in a minute. And then GRA uses the $5 million in bond proceeds to support lab equipment for our universities. Moving to the governor's recommendation for FY22 amended, it totals $5.022 million in cash, with $5 million for lab infrastructure at the universities. As Tracy pointed out, this is typically how we spend funds. The amended budget also includes $22,000 for salary increases for 4 USG employees who are on loan to GRA and have been for many years. And then there's cash of $5.6 million recommended by the governor in the FY23 budget. So if you turn to the busy schedule on page 6, you'll see a breakdown by university of how GRA is spending the $5 million in bonds in the current fiscal year, and then how we plan to spend the $5 million in cash recommended in the FY22 amended budget. In the current year, our priorities include continued investing in the Isaacson GRA Eminent Scholar in Parkinson's. We're getting ready for 3 new eminent scholars just named at Augusta University last week as part of their new brain aging program. And Georgia Tech is undertaking a new quantum computing system initiative, which will put Georgia on the map in this emerging area of computing and science. Where you see green font in the description column, it indicates that the center is led by a GRA eminent scholar. The plus sign in the FY22 column shows where the total cost of the equipment exceeds GRA's available funds, and the university has agreed to find another source to cover the balance. And in the FY23 column, we continue some of our FY22 investments, and we begin investing for our sickle cell disease initiative. This is a new public-private partnership to establish Georgia as the leader in sickle cell disease research and treatment. You may know that Georgia leads the nation in cases of sickle cell disease, so we should be out in front when it comes to finding solutions as well. And GRA is partnering with Children's Healthcare, Morehouse School of Medicine, and Emory on this 5-year initiative. There are 2 new eminent scholars planned for the sickle cell disease program, and the first is the Calvin Smyrie Chair which will be held by the Sickle Cell Disease Program Director. 3 finalists have been selected, and they're scheduled to visit Georgia in March. So a couple of things about the numbers on this page. We give priority to purchasing equipment that serves a large number of faculty, not just 1 or 2 of our eminent scholars. The universities have excellent core research facilities that have technicians who are skilled at managing the equipment, and that's where we want our instruments to go. A few years ago, GRA and the universities created something that we call the Core Exchange, and it allows faculty across Georgia to share each other's core facilities and specialized equipment, regardless of where a faculty member is located. And I'm not aware of any other state that's doing that. Also, the figures you see on this page in the FY23 column, they represent each university's highest priority needs for next year. They would want me to tell you that this is not their entire wish list, and there's definitely more analysis to be done by GRA because our process is competitive from item to item. We also avoid putting money into a project that's not really ready to move. The university's going to have to demonstrate to us that they're ready to issue a PO. And the Georgia State column in FY23 is blank because our meeting with Georgia State hasn't occurred yet. It's scheduled for tomorrow, so we'll have to shift some priorities on this list if indeed $5 million is the final answer for GRA. So I thank you for your attention, and I'll stop there for questions and comments from you and the committee, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I appreciate your presentation. I know a lot of times over the years, certainly as members, we sometimes skip over this line item, or we've got new members that really don't understand what the Research Alliance does. I know Mark over the years has helped educate me on what the Alliance does, and I think it's one of the reasons why we're able to, I guess, again, in this partnership, Mark, as you've explained it, it gives Georgia a competitive edge as our research institutions go out there. This is that little bit of added help when we're competing to bring those eminent scholars, the researchers, the best of the best back to Georgia. And for that and for what you do, I really appreciate it. It's very evident by some of the projects here and you know, the focus of certainly page 6 of where we're looking at these initiatives to bring scholars in. Is good for Georgia, and quite frankly, it shows that Georgia is trying to come up with solutions for not only this state, but the nation and the world. So I appreciate that and what you do and the importance of what the Alliance does. Any questions from the committee on the Georgia Research Alliance? Any of the projects? And all right. Well, thank you for what you do. And again, Mark, thank you for helping with that. I know you've been trying to get in touch with me. It's been a busy winter, but I appreciate y'all coming and presenting to the committee. Thank you. Skidaway Institute of Oceanography.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, committee members, for allowing us to come and describe to you the project that we are requesting matching funds for today. My name is Clark Alexander. I'm the director of Skidaway Institute of Oceanography, and I've been on the faculty there for the last 32 years. So I've been there the whole time this vessel has been there. The RV Savannah is an integral part of the operations and the programs that are conducted by the Skidaway Institute of Oceanography. We have a strong research mission and a growing educational mission, both of which are served by the RV Savannah. The RV was purchased by the state for $3.2 million in 2001, with Skidaway contributing 25% of that purchase price. and it is operated on a user fee-based basis now, so that the operations of the ship are fully paid for, including routine maintenance, by this day use rate charged to users. Users include 8 other USG institutions, the federal government agencies, including NOAA, Department of Defense, the Navy, and USGS, and then the State Department of Natural Resources uses the vessel as well. It is used for both research and for educational activities. We take groups of students from USG institutions that are in the interior of Georgia out so that they can experience what it's like to go to sea. As with all steel-hulled vessels that operate in the marine environment, the RV Savannah is now 20 years old, and it needs a major refitting. It needs new engines, it needs new generators, it needs the hull to be reworked. As you might imagine, if our yearly maintenances are changing the oil in your car, this is like replacing the engine in your car. Mm-hmm. So what we're asking for are matching funds of $2 million that will match funds provided by the university for this refit effort. The service life extension and the science enhancement projects that we anticipate doing on the ship will make the vessel a safe and attractive vessel, but hopefully to new users when we enhance the capabilities of the ship. It'll at least create a useful platform for the next 20, if not more, years.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. For those who probably are aware, the saltwater environment is brutal on any piece of equipment, and eventually you either have to replace it or majorly, do an overhaul as you've explained. But I think it's important, if you've never been to Skidaway and you've never visited, you need to. And I think it's very interesting. Is again, many people who've been here don't realize the details of what you do. Our new members don't realize the research that goes on there, and it's not just one university, but it's multiple universities and federal agencies that come down there and do research, and very important to Georgia's coast and to Georgia. And I appreciate you and what you do down there, and I appreciate again. Hopefully, this vessel will serve y'all well for years to come.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any questions? And next, public libraries.
Good afternoon, Chairman Knight and committee members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today about our public libraries. We are on the tracking sheet on page 2, 41.14. Point 1 is the $5,000 salary increases that Tracy mentioned earlier, and we're extremely grateful for the governor's recommendation to help us retain our talented and hardworking public library team. 41.14.2 is a recommendation for $2 million for technology grants for public libraries. And these would be allocated out by formula to the 60 public library systems, which include 411 public libraries, at least one in every county in the state. As you know, public libraries have stepped up during the pandemic to support their communities in many new and different ways, and many of those demands have required enhanced technology. In many areas of the state, libraries are standing in for individuals and families who don't have computers or internet access at home, and this has become a lifeline for people who need a place to conduct telehealth appointments, attend virtual job interviews, apply for jobs or benefits online, and even access their COVID test results, as we're learning in these last few weeks. Libraries in every community offer equipment and broadband to make these services possible, and oftentimes they're the only location to do so in communities. Libraries pivoted to online programming for children, young adults, and seniors, and the ability to purchase equipment to make virtual programs possible will be an ongoing need because these have been so popular. Libraries are working to upgrade their meeting room technologies, as often the library is the only available meeting room space in town, and hybrid access to meetings has become pretty critical. Libraries have worked to expand Wi-Fi access beyond the library's walls in many communities, and many more of our libraries hope to do that if this funding becomes available. We've heard countless stories of students utilizing library Wi-Fi from parking lots when they need to complete school online. The networking equipment to extend this Wi-Fi is at the top of many of the library's wish lists. Libraries are doing a brisk business in loaning Chromebook laptops to students and business people, and they're eager to expand that service as well. So this funding will touch every county in Georgia through the libraries. We've received wish lists from library directors across the state that include assistive technologies for senior patrons, preloaded ebook readers for young readers, scanners to preserve archives and documents, and emerging technology tools, as well as security cameras. Our agency and our IT team are working to negotiate bulk discounts for these popular items, as we've done in past years, so that the libraries can efficiently and effectively use this technology funding. So with that, I'm very happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, thank you. We appreciate what you do. And again, during these trying times, the library, again, steps up for the communities in which they serve. And you know, hopefully, you know, this funding will again help you keep up and add to the technology as you meet those demands in the community. Any questions from the committee? All right. Well, thank you very much. And our last presenter is Georgia Military College.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I'm General Caldwell, the President of Georgia Military College. And we appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk about the amended budget. We do want to start by saying how much we appreciate the governor giving us the ability over this last year and a half to keep all of our campuses open, providing in-seat education for students in Georgia. We saw that as exhibited in the fact that this past June, over the last school year, we had our largest number ever of associate degrees awarded to students, with just over 2,000, and we greatly feel it was because they had the opportunity to remain in seat attending classes and not forced to move to an online venue. What I'd like to do, sir, if I could, I'm going to talk on pages 3 through 5. I'll start at the bottom of page 3. We provided a one-pager that consolidates some of this information, but I'll walk through, and I'll talk first on 41.22.1. That's the governor's $5,000 pay raise for full-time benefit-eligible state employees. That amount that we were given there will take care of about 27 of our employees who are full-time benefit-eligible employees. We actually have 424 total, which leaves a delta then of about 397 employees who were not yet recognized and included in that number. Depending on how you calculate the amount of money that is, that'll be somewhere between an additional $2 million more plus dollars that will need to be added to that line to cover all of our full-time benefit eligible state employees. Sir, the next line is 41.22.2. That's a capital item. That's the FF&E for the capital project we got in last year's fiscal year project that's being built. And obviously that will take care of the FF&E request that we had made. We do believe, sir, there should be a 41.22.3 that should have been evident here, which should have read, increase funds to offset the austerity reduction for the junior college. And amended FY20, we took the 4% reduction, which was about $160,000. And then again in the FY21 budget, we took the 6% reduction, which was another $228,000, for a total of right at $388,612. That would therefore restore the austerity cuts we did take in the junior college. But obviously not reflected here. We do think it just an oversight. That's the junior college itself, sir, those three items. The next there is the payments to the GMC Preparatory School. That's our K through 12 program that resides in Milledgeville. That's reflected here. And again, fairly straightforward. There's the 41.23.1, which is the enrollment growth. There's the 41.23.2, which was the austerity reductions being reinstituted there for that preparatory school. And then the increase in funds for the one-time supplement of $2,000 for full-time employees.
And just to make sure, you know, for new members and even some members that may be new to the committee, obviously the military college, you know, there's two segments in the budget. One is the preparatory school, which is K through 12 school that is only in Milledgeville.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes,
okay.
Mr. Chairman.
And then we have the actual Georgia Military College,
The junior college, yes,
which
sir.
is again campuses, you know, various parts of Georgia. So
Yes,
that's why again, committee members, you'll see, you know, two line items here. I think we had split that out a year or two ago. Just a couple of questions. You know, I know in regards to the preparatory school. You had told us in, you know, in previous, you know, budgets that you were adding additional grades. So where are we on that? I know there was increased funds from the enrollment growth. Is that reflective of increasing the grades? And where are you guys in regards to the preparatory school? Could you speak to that?
Yes, I sure can, Mr. Chairman. What we did do this year, we added the K1 and 2, which is approximately 40 students in each grade. And that's part of when you see the funds there for about 160 students. That's 120 of them were that, or reflected right there with the K1 and 2. The other 40 or so are reflected in the fact that we didn't close our school like a lot of schools did and make people go remote. And we had parents that were uncomfortable leaving their students in our school even though we felt comfortable continuing in-seat education. So they asked to withdraw their kids with the opportunity to bring them back a year later if they wanted to. And we said, sure. And almost to the student, they all came back this year. And that's where you see the 40. It was parents that had withdrawn them because they wanted them to go to an online program someplace and then asking to bring them back this year.
Okay. And then I know we talked about in regards to the college equipment, the student services, that's in the Milledgeville
yes, sir, it
campus?
Is. And so that FF&E will go to that building that's being built in Milledgeville. Okay. That will, so the entire institutional staff for the junior college is all located just in Milledgeville. Okay.
And I know in the past, because it's a little unique with Georgia Military College, yes, are y'all any plans on growth as we start to look at, you know, our expectations going forward? What has been your status as far as new campuses and
Sir, what we started doing, the governor asked us all to consolidate and streamline operations. We've already been reducing our overall staff numbers outside of Milledgeville over the past 12 months. We'll do a further reduction here this spring, which will bring us down to the number that we're requesting. It's actually a little larger right now if you were to look at it just today, but by the time this summer hits, we'll be down to the final number. So we are reducing our presence outside of Milledgeville to more of a true satellite type of operation. Several hundred students, the ability to be able to come in and register, to go to an online venue if you want, or to take some NC classes. A lot of it we've done is we've brought in technology to provide remote opportunities. So a student can sit in a class being taught in Augusta, but be in Warner Robins and be able to take it with the instructor. So we see the presence outside of Milledgeville continuing to be drawn down over time, while in Milledgeville itself, don't see a large growth there, but we do see it being steady with what we've got, sir.
All right. Any questions, committee members? Questions? All right. Thank you so much for your presentation. I know this is sort of boring every year with the numbers. I like the numbers, but pretty straightforward amended budget. Obviously, we're the majority of this is again looking and increasing our salaries to our educators, and you know, taking this opportunity during the amended budget to fund some of these projects that otherwise would have come through on the capital budget or capital bonds for 23. But with that, any members, as you look through this budget, obviously we'll call another meeting as we put forth, you know, a final presentation and a final budget before we go to the full committee. But if you will, review this. If you've got any questions, please come see me or one of our budget analysts. And with that, I appreciate the attendance and the presentations today, and we will be adjourned. That is